Welcome to Rugged Cams. I get this question a lot. My IP cameras are not showing up when I add them to my NVR. Okay. So by now you've checked the network cables and you can tell that the cameras are getting power because you can see the LED lights light up for a minute when they're powered on, right? Or maybe you can see the activity lights on the back of the NVR where the camera is plugged in. You've also waited for about 5 to 8 minutes for the camera to boot up and grab an IP address, right? Okay, let's assume that you did all that, and if you didn't, you need to do that before we go any further. First thing you need to try is add one camera at a time. Sometimes if you have 8 cameras trying to get an IP address all at once, there can be chaos and gnashing of teeth. IP cameras are actually computers on the network, and they may need time to boot up and get the assigned IP address. Give the cameras a full 5 to 8 minutes to boot up and figure out what IP address it is supposed to get from your NVR, assuming your NVR is set to DHCP on the camera side. It may not be. Second thing to try. Okay, our systems are pretty good at finding our cameras, but if you have a mixed system from multiple manufacturers, you really need to understand how both sides work in depth. Read the manuals from all manufacturers. If you have a Hikvision NVR and one of our cameras, for example, the support you're going to get is going to be limited at best because we don't support other manufacturers. How could we? Should it work? Well, yes. Our IP cameras are ONVIF compliant, meaning there is a great deal of flexibility and compatibility, but how to get it to work depends greatly on all the components involved. A third thing you may need to know is what is the current IP address of the camera you're trying to install. By default, our cameras are set to an IP address of 192.168.1.13. They are also set to DHCP, meaning that they will try to grab a new IP address from the NVR if the NVR is assigning them. As long as you give them time, they usually sort all that out on their own. But if you continuously unplug the cameras and replug them in before they get set, who knows what IP address they might have right now. We do have a utility for this issue, though, called Easy Tools, and you can download it from our website at the bottom of the technical support page. I also made a couple of videos on how to install and use Easy Tools, so you might want to take a look at that. Once you know for sure what the IP address of the camera is, you can make the choice to change it on the camera or change the IP address setting in the NVR to match the camera's current IP. On most of our NVRs, all of the cameras are set to a range of IP addresses like 172.160.xxx, where XXX is different for each camera. This range may be different on your NVR, but all the cameras on your NVR must be within a certain range on your NVR. For example, you can't have 3 cameras on 172.16.0.x and then have another camera on 10.1.1.x. There will be issues if you do. Change the camera's IPs so that all of them are the same range and all will be good. There are 2 other settings that must match as well on all the cameras: the subnet mask and the gateway. If you have to change an IP, make sure that these 2 settings are also matching a working camera. And unlike the IP, all 4 numbers will need to be exactly the same. Fourth thing, username and password. By default, our cameras use admin, all lowercase, as the username and 123456 as the default password. While these can be changed, of course, it is a starting point. Usernames and passwords must match in the camera and in the NVR. Another thing you can check if all of the above has failed is the port number. We use port 81 for plug and play and port 80 for assigned IP addresses. If you have to manually assign a camera's IP address to an NVR channel, you probably want to change the port number as well in that channel to 80. When all else fails, there's always a factory reset. Now this can be done to the cameras and or the NVRs by navigating through the menus to maintenance and then using the default button. If you want to try this on your NVR, you should disconnect all the network cables first, or it will remember your camera's IP addresses and not try to find them again. So to recap, each channel on the NVR has to point to a single camera, and it needs an IP address with subnet mask and gateway, a port, a username, and a password. Our NVRs are usually able to find these automatically, but if there are some issues, all of these settings need to be verified and or modified either on the camera to match the NVR or on the NVR to match the camera. If you're still stuck or have questions, please give us a call at 866-283-6003, or you can always email us at techsupport@ruggedcams.com. Thanks for watching.